Elias Varen had survived engine fires, pirate ambushes, and a fuel bay explosion that took half his ship's tail off mid-jump, but nothing, absolutely nothing, prepared him for the moment. Gravity simply vanished beneath him. 1 second he was rerouting power to the stabilizers. The next he was spiraling into the atmosphere of an uncharted green-blue planet that wasn't on any star map. The cockpit screamed in warning tones as the ship nosedived. May static swallowed his words. A wall of trees rushed up to meet him, and the world blinked out. The awakening Elias woke to the smoking bones of his ship scattered around a crater. His ribs burned, his head throbbed, but he was alive. He wasn't alone. The ground vibrated beneath him. Thoom. A shadow fell across the wreckage. He looked up and froze. A woman stood at the crater's edge. Not a normal woman. A giant, icily, 20 feet tall. She wore armor made of bone and dark leather, her hair braided with beads the size of his fist. Her eyes amber-sharp studied him with the intense focus of a predator eyeing prey. She crouched, massive fingers brushing aside wreckage like toys. Male, she murmured, voice low and rumbling. A tiny one. Elias stumbled back instinctively. She smiled, and it wasn't a kind smile. There hasn't been fresh prey in months. A hand shot forward. Elias bolted. Tillahan Beginsi sprinted into the trees, heart hammering. Branches whipped his face, roots snatched his boots, but he didn't dare slow down. Behind him, run, little meat. Her voice shook the forest. Elias dove behind a fallen trunk just as the giantess stomped into the clearing, sniffing the air like a beast tracking scent. He forced himself to stay still. Her footsteps drifted left, right, then stopped. He crouched again, huge fingers dragging through the soil. He bleeds. She purred. God. Elias pressed a hand to his rib. Blood was dripping steadily. Not ideal. She followed the droplets like a trail of neon arrows. He needed to move. But if he ran now, she'd hear him. He scanned the trunk behind him. Hollow center. Narrow opening. Tight fit. He didn't think. He just shoved himself inside a second later. Her massive foot crashed where he had been. Wood splintered around him. The log cracked. Her hand reached down. Then another voice boomed. Through the forest. Kelra. The council summons you. The giantess snarled. She was inches from grabbing him. Hold. Little meat, she whispered. I'll finish the hunt soon. Her footsteps thundered away. Elias exhaled. Shakily. He had minutes, maybe lesby, for she returned 3. The village of giants, he patched. His side was scavenged medfoam from his wreck, and followed the faint trail of the giantess's footsteps deeper into the forest. He didn't want to get closer, but he needed to understand his enemy. He climbed a ridge and his breath caught. Massive valley stretched below, dotted with colossal wooden structures like fortress-sized lodges. Dozens of giantesses moved between them, carrying spears the size of small trees, hauling carcasses of beasts bigger than shuttlecraft, laughing, shouting, training. A full warrior society. He crouched behind a boulder, listening. A group gathered around a central fire pit. Kelroth, the one who had hunted him, stood at the front. A human male has fallen from the sky, she announced. He is mine. The crowd murmured. Another giantess stepped forward, muscular, heavily scarred. Claimed. She scoffed. You haven't tasted prey in months. If he dies in the chase, the meat is wasted. Kelra's jaw clenched. I do not waste. The scarred one smiled coldly. We'll see. Elias didn't like the tension in the air. One wrong move and he'd become a prize in a tribal power struggle. He needed a way out, but the valley was surrounded by cliffs, guarded by giantess sentries, and filled with warriors who could crush him with a single misstep. He gathered intel until dusk, then turned to leave, but a soft voice whispered behind him, "You shouldn't be here." He spun and nearly fell backward. A young giantess crouched behind the boulder. Smaller than the others, maybe 12 feet tall, but still towering, unlike the warriors. She wore simple cloth wraps and carried no weapons. Her eyes were bright blue and strangely gentle. She studied him with curiosity, not hunger. "You, the Sky Man," she whispered. "Yeah," Elias muttered. "Trying not to die," she smiled. "They'll kill you, all of them. Except maybe Kelra, she likes to chase things." "Comforting," he deadpanned. The girl giggled and grabbed him gently, lifting him like a kitten. "Hey, I'm helping you," she whispered. This way. Her hidden allier name was Sarah, and unlike the warriors, she had no interest in hunting. She carried him into a hidden canyon behind a waterfall place, small enough that no full-sized giantess could enter. "You can hide here until night," she said. "But Kelra will never stop hunting you. She always finishes her chase." Elias rubbed his temples. "What does she want with me?" "Exactly." Sarah tilted her head. "For food." "Of course." He swallowed. "Great." She sensed his fear and gently tapped his chest with a finger the size of a mug. "Don't worry. You are too clever to eat." "I appreciate the vote of confidence," he muttered. She crawled out of the canyon and whispered, "I'll return with food. Stay quiet." When she left, Elias collapsed against the stone, mind racing. He needed a plan. He needed tools. He needed something, anything to give him a fighting chance. He started searching the canyon. What he found changed everything. 5. The relic of the ancient stuck behind moss and stone was a metallic object, half buried, half glowing faintly. He brushed off dirt and froze that it wasn't natural. It wasn't Giantesses-made. It was technology, human older, far older. A bracelet-like device, covered in runic markings. He recognized only two symbols, power and interface. He pressed his finger to the center. The device snapped onto his wrist. Energy surged up his arm, throwing him backward. For a moment, the canyon illuminated with blue light, then silence. The band powered down. Now, dark and inert. Elias sat up, panting. "What the hell are you?" he whispered. He didn't have time to test it because the waterfall exploded inward. A massive hand tore through the opening. "Found you, little meat." Kelra 6. The hunter returns. The canyon shook as Kelra forced her way inside. Stone, cracking around her shoulders. Sarah screamed from outside. "Kelra, stop!" But the warrior didn't hear or didn't care. Her eyes locked onto Elias with triumphant fury. "You made this fun," she growled, crawling closer. "But the chase ends now." Elias backed against the far wall. Nowhere to run, nothing to fight with. Kelra reached for him. The wrist device flared to life. A pulse of blue energy burst outward. Slamming into her chest, she flew backward, crashing through the canyon entrance, boulders raining around her. Elias stared at his smoking wrist. He breathed. "That's new." He darted outside. Kelra struggled to rise, coughing through dust. Her amber eyes burned with rage and something new. Recognition. That device. She rasped. It belonged to the ancients. Only their chosen could. A massive roar echoed through the valley. More giantesses arrived, warriors with spears raised high. As Sarah cried out, "He's not an enemy." He, the scarred giantess, shoved her aside. "Move, whelp. The skyman is mine." A dozen warriors charged. Elias raised his arm on instinct. The device hummed, then unleashed a shockwave, sending warriors tumbling like leaves in a storm. Silence followed. Kelra rose slowly, breathing heavily. "You," she said. "You're not prey." Sarah beamed. "I knew it." The scarred warrior snarled, clutching a shattered spear. "This is impossible," she hissed. "No male can wield ancient power." Elias steadied his arm, unsure how many shots the relic had left. "I don't want to fight," he said. "Just want to leave this planet alive." The warriors watched him, half fearful, half furious. Kelra stepped between him and the others. "His life is mine," she declared. "By right of the hunt." The scarred giantess laughed bitterly. "Then, finish him." Kelra shook her head. "No. If he can wield the ancient relic, he is not prey. He is chosen." Gasps rippled through the tribe. Kelra turned toward Elias, lowering to one knee, a gesture of respect. "Not submission, Skyman," she said quietly. "You may have come here by accident, but our world knows your kind. And if the ancients favored you, so will we." Elias blinked. "Is this the part where you stop trying to eat me?" Sarah giggled. Kelra cracked a rare smirk. "Yes." 7. A new path. In the days that followed, everything changed. The tribe no longer hunted him. Instead, Kelra trained him to move among them without fear, teaching him their customs, their signals, their dangers. Sarah helped him understand the relic. Bit by bit, he learned to activate its shields, its pulses, its sensors. And when the tribe faced a monstrous beast from the northern marsh, Elias wasn't prey anymore. He stood beside Kelra, Sarah, and a dozen warriors, reluctant allies, turned unexpected family. As the beast crashed toward them, Kelra glanced down at him, ready. He tightened the device on his wrist. "Let's hunt." 8. Legacy of the Skyleaks turned into months. The giantess tribe no longer spoke of eating him. They spoke of learning from him. Kelra became his fiercest protector, Sarah his brightest friend. The tribe, his unlikely home. The world that once wanted him dead now kept him alive. One night, sitting beside a fire large enough to roast a shuttle, Kelra asked, "Will you ever leave us?" Elias looked up at the stars, the same stars that had betrayed him, stranded him, forced him to survive. "Maybe someday," he said, "but not tonight." Kelra nodded. "Good, the hunt is better with you." And for the first time since he'd crashed, Elias believed he could build a future here, not as prey, not as a prisoner, but as something rare, something powerful, something chosen.